And now may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be ever more acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Please be seated. Destination, fulfillment, completion, arrival. Tonight, our journey to Bethlehem ends. Much of our life, much of our spirituality is about the journey. We are people of the way, after all. Tonight, though, tonight is one of those special, often unexpected moments of arrival. A moment when we reach our destination, when our hopes are fulfilled, when the marvelous and the mundane meet in a stable, when the glory of God is manifest in vulnerability of a small baby. Now, the journey to get here to Jesus' cradle side is unique to each of us, each with our own trials and temptations, roadblocks and delays, sorrows and joys. This year, many of us had the added blessing of hosting Mary and Joseph. She's sitting, it's been a long journey. And their faithful trustee, Pedro, as they made their way through Victoria on their way here, on their way to Bethlehem. Like too many people today, too many people throughout the centuries, Joseph's and Mary's journey was not one they chose. It was commanded to them. The political rulers of their day required that all the world should be registered. Each one had to go to their own town, the town of their ancestors, regardless of their circumstances. To defy their rulers and stay put was risky. To embark on the journey as required, pregnant no less, was also risky, given the uncertainty and the struggle of the road. With no easy choice, Mary, Joseph, and Pedro went. Now, here in Victoria, they were blessed with much generous hospitality. They attended the ballet and family dinners. They wandered through the lights of Bouchard Gardens and helped out at the food bank. They goofed off in our parish office. They kept the knitting circle on track. They worked and shopped and hiked and rode bikes, visiting many people, old and young alike, along the way. They had a full and often joyous journey. You can read about it in their journal, it's just out there. Our journey here with Mary and Joseph was a twist on a Mexican religious tradition that invites participants to become pilgrims on a journey of reenacting Mary and Joseph's travels. Known as posada in Spanish, the word itself means inn and comes from a Spanish root meaning to lodge. In some Mexican villages, a full liturgy takes place out on the streets with a candlelit procession and young people dressed up as Joseph and Mary, knocking on neighbors' doors, asking for lodging. At each door they sing, "We are worn out coming from Nazareth. I am a carpenter, Joseph by name." And the neighbors inside sing back, "I don't care about your name. Let me sleep, because I already told you we shall not open up." And Mary and Joseph are turned away until they're not. St. George's Posada journey was perhaps a little more silly than serious, and yet still it calls us to open up, to open our doors, to open our hearts, to open our imaginations. And the hope of Christmas is that the relative ease of opening up to these figures, they don't even take up very much space, as part of their journey, will remind us of the difficult truth that too many people in our world and in our city know the struggle and pain of having doors closed in their face, in the face of their plea and lament. Our Joseph and Mary traveled with a purse for donations to Out of the Rain Youth Shelter right here in Victoria. This shelter operates for 6 coldest months of the year, offering nightly lodging and other services for up to 30 youth aged 15 to 25. Undoubtedly, at least one of them is pregnant. Undoubtedly, many, if not all, have had doors shut to them. Doors of hope, doors to peace and joy and love, slammed shut in fear, in prejudice, in the political and economic machinations of our day. Our Posada journey this year was perhaps more silly than serious, yet still it calls us to risk opening up to the pain and despair, the struggle and uncertainty of our world. Nowhere are those things more real and more present than in Bethlehem this year. Bethlehem is located in the occupied West Bank of Palestine, just south of Jerusalem. A wall separates the two areas. On a pilgrimage many years ago, I experienced firsthand the difficulty of getting to Bethlehem. Our Palestinian guide knew some of the remaining, at that time, unofficial routes to avoid the official gate on the official road through the wall, and journey instead through new developments in the ancient countryside, where the wall had not yet been built. After carefully driving around a few rocks on the road, our skilled bus driver navigated down a steep, winding road. Several minutes later, however, we encountered much larger stones, boulders, really, truly blocking the way. And we realized that this was not the road that would get us to Bethlehem. And there was no room to turn that large tour bus around. And so our highly skilled driver reversed the bus all the way back up that narrow, winding path, hairpin turns and all. And eventually, we found another route to Bethlehem. Now, of course, this year it would be a much, much more difficult journey to Bethlehem. It's a much more difficult journey to Christmas, to believe in the birth of hope and peace, joy and love in an occupied land. There are no decorations, no celebrations in Manger Square outside Bethlehem's Church of the Nativity this year. No tree, no lights, no nativity scene. There are, however, plenty of prayers. Prayers for peace, prayers for love in and for the troubled land we call holy. Opening ourselves to the pain and despair, the struggle and uncertainty of so many people, too many people in our world, is a significant emotional risk. There is nothing silly about the openness to which our Posada journey calls us. These liturgies are not just traditions, Karen Gonzalez of Sojourners wrote earlier this month. Posada is a way to live into the hope that bursts into the world with Jesus' birth and resurrection. It's hard to hold on to hope amidst the ongoing war in Ukraine, the invasion and bombing of Gaza, the rise of fascism around the world, threatening democracies many of us were sure would never fail. Yet amid all of this, our faith passes through church doors and moves right into the streets of our neighborhoods. It is a reminder that hope is lived out in my body and not just in my head. Tonight, Mary and Joseph arrive safely in Bethlehem, and hope is born. Hope is born, along with peace and joy and love, in the tiny body of a baby God. Tonight, the birth of Jesus brings together the marvelous and the mundane in a miraculous moment of arrival. Our destination is a simple stable. Our journey's end is also our beginning. the fulfillment of hope lived out in our bodies, not just our heads. The fulfillment of hope is incarnate tonight in a brown baby born in an occupied land, a baby needing to be warmed and fed and comforted by humanity, by us. As we were open to the journey to get us here, may we remain open to the needs of the world through the mystery and majesty of tonight's miracle of love.